Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've started the broadcast just a little bit early. We'll get really rocking and rolling here in about 4 minutes or so. So bear with us, bear with me as I get some things set up in the background. But I wanted to make sure the event was up and running. Two minutes. 2 minutes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tammy Neal. I am a Google certified trainer and I live in North Florida, up where the palm trees don't grow. The part of Florida where we are kind of landlocked. So that's us. That's where I'm at. Coming at you from my home. This is my office. Tonight we're going to be doing a couple of sessions. This first session is on getting started with Google Forms. So this is for those of you that have seen other people use them and was like, I wonder how they did that. How do we get started with that? Where do we go? So that's what tonight's session is. This session is for. And then we have another one in a couple of hours at 8 p.m. Eastern that is going to be on using Google Forms, and it's going to be dealing with some add-ons and some things once you've already started using Google Forms. So creating quizzes and then using that data. So that's what we'll be talking about at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to turn on the chat. I hope this is the right chat. We'll see. We'll see. So if you have a message, let me know and we'll go from there. So most of this is going to be done with me screen sharing, so you won't see me a lot. You will see my screen and I'll be talking to you through that. So here we go. I'm going to screen share. And to be honest with you, the way you get started, there's a couple of different ways you can get started. One is through your drive. So this is my training folder, and I can go right here to New and More and to Google Forms, and I can either choose a blank form or I can choose from the document, from the templates that Google has already created for me. So this is one way to do this, and doing this while I've got the training documents folder selected would put it in this folder. So another way to do this is to go through your Omni search bar up here and go forms.google.com. And that would create a form right in your general Google Drive. But I'm going to come back here and do this inside my folder. And I'm going to call this Practice 2 because we have a Practice 1 from last night. And when I click right up here where the name is, you will see when I click right here, it's going to take this name from here and put it up here as well. Now I can change this and change this to something different if I need more description to keep myself organized if I wish, but I don't have to. So once I click off of that, you'll notice it changed in the tab as well. Okay. And then when I come over here, here is Practice 2, and it is a Google form. You see the purple icon, so we know this is a Google form, and this is sitting in my training folder. So I'm going to come back to my training, my Practice 2 form, and we're just going to get started creating a form. But before I do that, I want to walk you through some of these things right over here so that you know what these are. Okay, so there is some settings right there. If you want to make a copy, you're done with this. We can talk more in the advanced session on tomorrow afternoon about what a pre-filled link is. If you want to print your form, you can do that from there. As with anything Google, you can always add collaborators. So you can have your entire team creating a common assessment through this. If you want to edit scripts and write your own add-ons, you're welcome to do that, but that is an advanced feature. There are add-ons, and we will talk about some of those in the session at 8 o'clock tonight. And then preferences, these are just, do you want your forms? These are some things that you can set to go across all of your forms. Do you want to make all your questions required? Do you want to give it a default point value? So do you want all of your quiz questions to have a default point? So your form doesn't just have to be a data collection. You can actually use it to get automated graded quizzes. And do you wish to automatically collect email addresses? So form settings will be applied to all forms created in the future. Question settings will be applied to all new questions added. So I'm going to leave my default at 0 here. I'm going to go ahead and click collect email addresses because of some of the things we're going to be doing later tonight. And we'll use the same exact form for that. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. Okay, send is if I want to send this to someone. It gives me a chance to email it, gives me a chance to get a link, or allows me to embed it. You'll notice I can now also share it to Google+. And for those of you that are in an educational setting, it's my understanding you will still have some form of Google+ even when Google+ goes away for everyone else. You can share it via Facebook, and you can share it via Twitter automatically from this spot right here. You can decide how wide or how high your embed portion is if you want to embed this into a Google site or any other site in the future. Okay, our gear settings. Okay, general, do we want to collect emails? If we email, do we want the response recipients? What that means is, let me hover over click this again. So respondents receive a copy of their responses. So do you want to email the people that use your form a copy of what they answered? That's your choice. Do you want to limit the use of the form to one use per email address? You're welcome to do that. That's what this is. And if it's a quiz, that may be exactly what you want. And there's a lot of reasons why you would or wouldn't want that. Do you want to allow respondents to edit after submit? Now, if I'm doing a quiz for my classroom, if I'm doing an assessment of some sort, I click this because I have students who have extended time allowed, and I'm teaching them how to collect that link and copy that link into a Google form so that they can come back later and finish their quiz or get that extended time if they need to. Do I want the people who use my form to see the summary charts and the text responses from other people? And almost never do I want that. That's my own personal choice. You'll have your choice, and you'll have to decide that. But if this is a quiz and you check this, then you allow every student that uses this quiz to see what everyone else has put and what everyone else's grades are. So that's a big no-no where I'm at. Okay, presentation. Do you want to show a progress bar? Do you want it to say 1 of 20 questions and show the progress as it goes over? Do you want to shuffle the question order? I don't shuffle the question order because one of my questions is always name, and I don't want that to be like question 13 or something like that. So because question order is important to me, I don't shuffle question order. Show link to submit another response. If I'm only allowing my students one shot at a form, then I turn that off. If they get multiple chances to go in and give me multiple responses, then I'll turn that on. Right here says confirmation message. This is what is shown on the screen once you click submit. So once you've clicked submit, you can give a detailed response if you want. This can include any text. That includes links to other files or links to other forms, links to websites or videos. It cannot include graphics of any kind, no images, only text. So if you do not edit, then the default is your response has been recorded. It all depends on how quickly I'm trying to get this done, to be honest with you, and what the purpose of the form is. So if I'm trying to collect data from someone, I may come in and say, thank you. You can check back to this website to see how your data was used, or, who knows? Thank you so much for helping us with collecting this information. So there's lots of things there that you can do. Quizzes. Can we make this a quiz? And I'm going to click this on for just a minute so that you can see all the options. And then we're going to turn this off and we're going to make our form. And then we're going to come back and talk about making it a quiz. Okay, so quiz options. Do I want to release the grade immediately after each submission? Well, if all you're doing is a multiple choice or a choose and respond, you're not doing anything that needs you to answer, go through. If you're doing a long paragraphs or anything like that that you may need to review, you may not want to do this. This allows that immediate feedback. So if all you're doing are multiple choice or click here, click there type answers, this might be a godsend to you. If, however, there are things you want to review or you don't want the scores out there immediately, there might be that you've got students who aren't finished yet, some of those extended time folks, and you don't want them to see a grade until you are certain they're finished. So that would be later on in the manual review. And we'll talk a little bit later on how you release those grades and what students will see. Okay, do you want the respondent, the user, to see which questions they missed? Do you want them to see the correct answers? Do you want them to see the point values? Depending on the use of the quiz, generally I do not let them see these two at the beginning. They get their score. I'm okay with them seeing point values because I want them to be able to, if they're using their time wisely and they're down to a 4-point question and a 1-point question, and they got 30 seconds, I want them to be able to have all the information they can possibly have. So, point values is something that to me is a no-brainer. But again, it is up to you. Choose the one you wish. So, like I said, we're going to not make this a quiz right this minute. We're going to come back to this. Preview is just that. It's going to open a preview in a new tab, and you can see what your quiz or your form would look like to your students. You can actually go ahead and put information in, and it would show up in your data. So I'm not going to do that yet because we haven't actually built much of a quiz yet. Okay, customize theme. You can change your theme colors. You can now even choose a custom color. So if you wanted this lovely gray looking color, you can choose that lovely rosy gray. You can choose an image, and this is really kind of cool. You can choose images that Google has already optimized for a quiz. You can upload photos. You can choose from your own albums. So let's see. Let's look at other for a second. And some of these, those of you that may have been trying forms in the past may see some of these and recognize some of these. I'm going to go ahead with flowers. And notice that my theme colors have changed. These are colors that Google pulled out of the theme image. So these colors all coordinate with the images, with the colors up here. So if I wanted to change my theme color, I could take it a little more purpley, a little greener, a little darker. And notice that as I choose theme color, my background color options also change. So if I were to choose this, I could take a darker, grayer looking, and it really, choose whatever makes you happy. Really. The one thing about a quiz is you cannot make it any wider. So this is as whatever format you get as far as width, that is the standard width of the quiz. And that is what it is. So there are 4 basic font styles. There's basic, there's decorative, there's formal, and there's playful. I don't use playful because it looks too much like Comic Sans to me, and I'm one of those that doesn't, I just don't use Comic Sans. So I'm going to come back here to basic, and these are my theme options. So when I close that, those theme options don't go away. It's like with everything Google, it's saved automatically. Okay, so we've just customized our theme. The top results. Excuse me, my phone. I have a Pixel 2, and it picked up on my using the word Google. Okay, and then the other thing that we have here are add-ons, and these are the add-ons that we're going to be looking at the 8 o'clock hour. So we're going to be looking at Auto Mastery, Form Notification, Form Publisher, and Form Limiter at the 8 o'clock hour. Okay, so that is all of your options that go with your quiz. Notice we told it we wanted to collect email addresses, so that's already there. There is a form description option here. This allows you to put in any text to describe whatever you need to describe. You may say, thank you for being here. It may be, remember that we're reviewing this. This is an assessment that covers Unit 3 on mitosis. It could be links. It cannot be graphics. It must be text. It can be, like I said, it can be links to other things. Don't forget to have this page open. If you want to give them a notes page or something like that, you can put that in the form description. Okay. This form is collecting email addresses, so you're asking them for an email address. And then the first question, you can't have a form without a question. So the first question is always there. And by default, it is multiple choice. However, one of the things that I really like about Google Forms is because they've been doing this for a while now, they know that there are certain keywords that go with certain types of question types. So if I put in here first name and tab off, it's automatically going to change to a short answer, because it knows anytime it sees the word name that those are typically short answer questions. Okay, this image right here means that you can put a picture in there. And let me show you how cool this is. We can take a snapshot, and it can't do this right now because of the fact that I don't have Adobe Flash automatically set, but I also have my camera in use, so we can enter anyway. A URL, something from your album, something from your Google Drive, or this one is really powerful. You can search. So let's search for name, and let's see what we get. Okay, so we may want to use this image, and I'm going to select that. Hello, my name is, and when I click on it, I get my boxes, and I can make this smaller. My 3 dots allow me to align it if I want, or I can remove it altogether. And I don't really need a picture. Everybody knows what first name is. Okay, I get an option to duplicate this, to throw this in the trash, hence a trash can, to make it required or not required. And then I have a few more options. Do I want to show a description that goes with this? And do I want a response validation? A response validation means that you want your answer in a specific format. So if you were asking for phone number, you might want the area code and then 3 spaces and a dash and then 4 spaces. And so you can verify that they are giving you more accurate information. So if you wanted an email, you can say, please make sure that it's a verifiable email address. So I'm going to make this a required question because of first name, and I'm going to duplicate this because instead of first name, I'm going to say last name. And it's the same type of thing. It's still required, and I want to collect first name and last name of everybody that uses the form. Okay, I'm going to add a question, and like I said, the default question is multiple choice, but you can always click right here and choose the different options. So you have a short answer, which is what we've done for first name. You can have a longer paragraph. You can have a multiple choice, which is choose one of however many choices you give them. There's a checkbox, which means you can choose multiple, this one and that one, or these 2, these 3. You can have a drop-down menu. You can actually allow your users to upload a file to you. You can have a linear a linear scale, pardon me so much, where it might be, and this is one that I use. I ask my students on a daily basis, how are you feeling today? On a 0 to 10 scale, 0 being it's one of the worst days I've ever experienced, 10 being it's one of the best days I've ever experienced. So I get a scale real quickly of how my class is feeling as they walk in and do their daily check-ins. Okay, a multiple choice grid, just like the multiple choice question, only allowed 1 per question. Multiple choice grid only allows 1 per row, and we'll see that in a little bit. A checkbox grid, just like checkboxes allowed multiple answers, a checkbox grid allows more than 1 answer per row. So there might be a difference. If you're looking for a specific date, you can get that date as a question, or a specific time. And I don't use these very much, but I imagine a history person might use dates very often. So this might be something that you wish to use. I'm going to go ahead and do another way that you can, well, I'm going to go ahead and do multiple choice. And I'm going to do class, period. And in here, I'm going to click and change my options. Period 1, period 2, period 3, and I don't need to keep going. Notice that I can add an image to each question. I can also add other. So multiple choice allows us to let the user give us a response as well. So if we wanted to give them an opportunity to prove why this isn't, why they're not choosing 1, 2, or 3. The other option that we have, because this is a multiple choice, is go to section based on the answer, and we'll come back to that. We'll actually come back up to this question here in just a little bit. But right now, I'm going to make this a required question because it's important for me to know which class period our students are in. Okay, this right here, add title and description. This allows me to add, if I wanted to put sections in my form or in my quiz, I can put a title right there. Let's see. Seed parts. In other words, if I want to do all the questions on parts of a seed, I could come in and ask them to describe the parts of a seed. Notice it used the word described. It thought that it was a paragraph. I can come out here and search. I'm going to do seed diagram. I'm going to see what I get. I can have all kinds of seeds. I'm just going to take this one right here. And it's going to put it in there. And so it might give these really fancy names. So maybe I'm asking for them to describe what these things do. Describe the functions of the parts of a seed. Put my space in there. Okay, so I can make this required or not required. If I wanted to add an image just by itself, I can add an image. I can add a YouTube video if I would like. And this is to add a section. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to have a section. Let's say that I want to only let first period answer these questions. So right here, I could tell it to go to submit form. And I'm going to put another section down here that says only. I can come back to these sections and add questions inside these sections. So I can come up here to class period now. And because I have multiple sections, I can say go to the section based on the answer. So I might want to say go to section 1, stay on this page. I might say first, let's see. Nope, I want first period to go to first period only. I want second period to go to second period only. And I want third period to continue to next selection. And at the end of this, it's going to say submit form. I may, at the end of each of these, go submit form. And at the end of second period, it's going to submit form anyway because it's at the end of the form. So when I come in here and click and say, what is the secret word of the week? And I'm going to ask for a short answer, and then they're going to be asked to submit form. Second period, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, what color are the chairs in the classroom? And this thinks that it should be a multiple choice. If I want to change this to a short answer, I can do that. And I want you to see how this is going to look. So I'm going to come up here and preview. Excuse me. And it's going to open in a new page. So here are our email addresses. And I have some trainer emails that I'm going to use. Trainer1 at And the first name is Trainer. Last name is 1. Class period 1. This is not a required answer, but I can write whatever the parts are the parts. I click next. So since I chose that I was in question 1, it told me to come here to first period only. And so when I get done with this, all I can do is submit. I would never see what second period would see. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to change to second period. Notice that my answer is still there. Second period, I get the second period question. What color are the chairs in the classroom? I come back. I'm going to go to third period, and I'm going to click next, and it's going to ask me, ooh, it sent me to the next section, which should not have been this. So it means I need to come back and edit my form, which I can either do here, or I can close and come back to my previous tab, which is what I'm going to do. So on this question, I don't want to continue to the next question. I want to submit form if I choose that one. So preview again. Trainer 1 at G Trainer. Trainer 1. And I'm going to choose period 3 this time. And I'm going to click next. And it's going to ask me to submit. So I can come back and check. So this is what preview will allow me to do. Okay, so I can see all of those parts. Okay, so I think my quiz is going to run pretty well right now. It looks like everything's going where it needs to go. So now I need to set my quiz. So I'm going to come over here to settings. I'm going to set my quizzes. I'm going to make it a quiz. And I'm going to ask it that it review it, let me review it, and then turn it in. And I'm going to click save. So when I do that, each question then, because this is a default for, the email is a default for the form. So this is actually my first question. I'm not going to set a correct answer here because this is first name and every child's first name should be correct. And if I want to give them a point for putting their name on the form, I can, or I can just leave it there. Same thing with last name. C parts, this is really the big portion of my answer. This is a long response, so I'm not going to set a correct answer. But I am going to make this, and I can just type in there as well. If I want to make this 20 points, I can make it 20 points. I have a secret word of the week, and I go to answer key, and I can add a correct answer. What is the secret word of the week? Flashlight. I can also tell it to take flashlight if I want them to be able to, if I don't want to count for the space. If I don't want, and I can tell them, if it's not one of these two formats, mark it wrong. So I could actually come in and say both the capital F and the lowercase would be correct. And I can make this worth whatever point value I wish. So we'll make that worth 5. Okay. And I can come back and look at that question. I can also give answer feedback. So depending on what they answer, I can give them a response. I can give them a link to somewhere else, or I can send them to a YouTube video if I'd like. Okay. And then this one down here, answer key. I'm also going to make that worth 5 points. What color are the chairs in the classroom? I'm going to say green. I'm also going to do lowercase green. I'm going to add blue. And I'm going to add lowercase blue. And I'm going to tell it to make everything but one of those is incorrect. So if they spell blue or green wrong, they don't get the point. Okay. Again, I have my answer feedback. And now I have a 30-point quiz that I'm ready to give my students. And I can do that by sending them, putting all of their email addresses there and sending them the email, the form. I can take and copy the form link, or I can even do a shortened form link if I wish. I'm going to copy that, and I'm just going to go into a new window, and I'm going to paste and go. And there's my form. This is an active form, but because Google knows that I'm signed in and I'm the editor, I get editing rights still. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and fill this out. Anyone at G. And we're going to say this is first period. Your answer, really awesome stuff. I'm going to go next. What is the secret word of the week? And I'm going to do flashlight, and I'm going to click submit. And now, because I told it I wanted to be allowed to edit my response, if I right click and copy and save that somewhere, like in a Google Doc or something like that, I'll be able to come back and edit my response at a later time. Okay. Do I want to submit another response? Well, not right now. I'm good. So going to come back in here and notice that now I have one response. So I can come here. I'm still accepting responses. I can see the summary of what's been done. And this is why I don't share this I don't let the students see the summary data, because it shares this information with them as well. I have not released the scores yet. So when I'm ready to do that, I can click release scores, and all the emails, all the scores will be emailed to the individuals that use the form. So this is one way that I can collect. Notice that my charts are copyable. I can copy this and paste this into Google Slides or Google Docs so that I can share the data that I need to share. Okay. So I didn't respond to this one because this wasn't my question to respond to. Okay. But there is another way. I can see these by question. So if I had something I needed to answer or give feedback for, I can go through question by question, and I would list all of the ones that were used there. Or I can see by the individual, and I can release the scores by the individual if I wished. I can also print these if I needed, for some reason, a printed copy for a set of records for an IEP or any kind of parent involvement or anything like that. I could print that if I wanted to. And I can also throw out a response. So if a student logged in, let's say they logged in and they got sick in the middle of it, I could come in, clear the response, and give them another shot, even if I set it to limit one per response. So this gives me that override if I need to. Okay, so right here, this little green spreadsheet symbol is really, really valuable because it allows us to add this data to a spreadsheet. So we'll go ahead and click that. So it will either create a new spreadsheet or it will tie into an existing spreadsheet. Now, if you're trying to get all of your quizzes together, you want to do all your quizzes in one Google Sheet document for the term, let's say for the grading period, you can add them and they'll add in as separate sheets, separate tabs in your Google Sheet workbook. But I'm just going to go ahead and create a new spreadsheet because we're going to use that in a little bit for this next session. And so this gives me all the information that I had. I can adjust this just like I would any other spreadsheet. Okay. I can go to the form if I want to. I can embed the form in a web page. I can show my summary of responses. And I can go back to the form and see the things that I need to see. Okay. So this form I mean, this spreadsheet and this form are tied together unless I come in here and tell it to unlink. Okay. So I can also come in here and delete all the responses. So if I wanted to reuse it, I could delete. I can download the responses. There's lots of things I can do within the form itself. So that's basically how you get started. And I'm going to stop screen sharing. And so I hope that you have learned some things. I am always available. My email address is tammygneil@gmail.com, TammyGneil@gmail.com. Later on tonight, we're going to be using the same exact form that we created here. I'm going to throw some more data in there, and we're going to be using it later on with some of those add-ons and show you how those work to go a little bit further, a little bit more advanced. But I encourage you to just jump in, create a form. It's not difficult. And then once it's done, it's in your toolbox for the rest of the time that you need it. So I hope this has been informative. Please, if you would like for me to look at your forms, I'm more than welcome to do that. More than happy to do that. And let me know if there's any way I can help. But until then, this is Tammy saying good night.